What if Sung Jinwoo started at level 146 from the very beginning? Would he have new shadows that we never got to see? Would he have saved Chairman Gung-hee or Byung-gyu? Or what if this time Jinwoo did save them, but other characters would die, like Thomas Andre, or even worse, Cha Hae-in? Though, the real question is, how would Jinwoo even become level 146 in the first episode in the first place? I mean, this was the main problem for Ashbourne. He couldn't find a suitable vessel due to two main reasons. First, Ashbourne is so overpowered that a vessel cannot handle his power. Second, no living being can become a vessel for death itself. Yet, imagine for a second, what if Ashbourne figured out a way for a vessel to survive even after getting all of his power? And what would be the secret ingredient to get that vessel? It would be a human who danced on death's doorstep over and over. So, since Jinwoo's practically escaped death a couple times, he'd be the perfect vessel. Now, to make it more interesting, imagine this happening way before the double dungeon. Picture Jinwoo just waking up on any random day, okay? And realizes something's different with his body, in a good way. He feels taller and very shredded. Plus, a video game UI would suddenly pop up in front of his face. Of course, he'd be super surprised and very confused. And unlike in the original story where he starts at level 1, he'd find himself at level 146. Not as a necromancer, but as the Shadow Monarch, the highest job rank of them all. This means that right from the start, he can summon shadows. He has the skill, but he doesn't have any shadows just yet. Now, Jinwoo would spend his time reading every description in the system, his status, the skills, the black heart. He might see this as a sweet opportunity, or wonder if he's just going nuts, or something. To clear up the confusion, Ashbourne would step in to explain that giving his powers to Jinwoo is actually a huge problem. Because if Ashbourne were to give all his powers to Jinwoo, well, when the architect were to find out, he would quickly hit up their group chat. He's gonna let all the other monarchs know. And then they'd roll up to Earth to call Ashbourne out for backstabbing them. However, there's a temporary two-step solution to this issue. First step, since the system runs on Ashbourne's juice, it means he can mess with the system itself. Ashbourne will find a way to prevent the architect from detecting his betrayal, at least for a while. Then for step 2, Jinwoo will need to enter the Cartenon temple to kill the architect. That way the monarchs won't find out about Ashbourne playing dirty. I mean, even in the original manhwa when the architect was killed by Jinwoo, the monarchs didn't find out. So obviously killing the architect won't be easy, because Jinwoo won't be able to master this amount of power overnight. But he could still destroy the architect with his Naruto jutsu, a never give up attitude. Then, does this mean Jinwoo could save everyone in Cartenon temple? The answer is yes. He can and he will. Ashbourne could simply warn Jinwoo's party that the hunters planning to enter the temple might get in the way of his fight against the architect. So, originally, the raiding party conducts a poll on whether to enter the dungeon or not. It ends up in a tie, with Jinwoo originally breaking the tiebreaker by agreeing to enter the temple. But this time, Jinwoo would be able to vote against entering the double dungeon with the raid party, only to later sneak in by himself. Now after a hard fight, Jinwoo would defeat the architect. Problem solved. Not really though, because the monarchs would still arrive on Earth, because they plan to destroy this planet anyway. This is why Jinwoo must take this time to build a strong army that will fight against the monarchs ASAP, my guys. And let me tell you, you're gonna be surprised with the new shadows that'll be joining him. But how's Jinwoo gonna get stronger now that the architect, the guy who made the system, is out of the picture? Well, if you remember in the original timeline, Jinwoo said the system's still gonna run even if the creator's dead, so he can still level up. But Jinwoo won't get to level up that much because he's already at the highest level. I mean, he'll still level up, but he just won't get that much EXP. Also, Jinwoo wouldn't need to take on the daily quest, which, in case you guys haven't noticed, is the Saitama routine, because he's already a Chad. So what's the point of it, The only problem with this is that without the daily quest, he won't get the 2 skills he obtained in the penalty zone, dash and tenacity, which were very useful throughout the story. So I think he can still get some similar skills as long as he continues raiding some dungeons. And you might be thinking, is it really necessary to level up further? I mean, in the original story, Jinwoo deleted the system when he successfully became the new Shadow Monarch. So what would be the point, you might be thinking? Because he still needs the system due to the rewards, especially the items, so he can gear up for the showdown with the Monarchs. And as for Ashbourne, he could just hand Jinwoo the power to delete the system once he's done with the job. Now with the double dungeon out of the picture, and since Jinwoo didn't technically die, he won't have to make a stop at the hospital. This means Jinwoo will dodge the Hunters Association surveillance team from spotting his powers. And that's going to be tricky because if he's at level 146, he may not have the same beginner's luck as in the original storyline, where the mana meter couldn't pick up on his powers because he was just at level 1 back then. Another interesting point is, since Jinwoo's already OP, he won't need to enter the first instance dungeon. But just imagine, if he turns the steel-fanged lichen into a shadow, especially Kasuga, what would he name that shadow? Like Venom? I mean, he's not that creative with names. Now, our MC might be strong, but he's still gonna need something that we all need. You know what I'm saying? That money. So he'll still be on the lookout for a dungeon-related gig, which means he'll still run into Hwang Dong-suk, Hwang Dong-soo's Anarchy. At this point, when Jinwoo and Jinho are trapped inside the C-rank dungeon, Jinwoo can easily take down the spider boss and turn her into his very first shadow. He won't have any trouble extracting boss level monsters because he's way stronger than them. But the real question is, what would he name the spider? Spidey? Yeah, probably Spidey, because Jinwoo sucks at naming. Like, let's just be real. By the way, since Jinwoo's already the Shadow Monarch, his shadows are definitely gonna be much stronger as well. That means the spider boss from a C-rank gate, well, it should now be a night grade or even an elite night grade shadow. By the way, just in case you're unfamiliar with the shadow rankings, I explained them in a different video, so check that out in case you want to know how they rank. When Dong-suk and his team try to take down Jinwoo, of course, Jinwoo will instantly kill them and turn them into his shadows too. So again, the real question is, what's he gonna name Dong-suk? I know, douche, a-hole, ass-wipe, lizard? Okay guys, let's do a poll on what's the best name for this guy in the comments. Whatever he goes with, since Dong-suk was a C-rank hunter, he'll likely be an elite night grade shadow now. But keep in mind, Dong-suk is nothing in comparison to the other shadows that are coming up. Anyway, since we can't really figure out what Jinwoo will name them, let's stick to their original names for now. Also, even if Jinwoo turns Dong-suk into a shadow, this doesn't change the fact that Hwang Dong-soo will still hear about his brother's death and hunt Jinwoo down. Next, the Demon Castle. Jinwoo can easily take down Cerberus, but he might not be able to turn it into a shadow because if you remember, he tried to do that with Metis in the original story, but the system said nope. The target's mana was too corrupted. Some fans on Reddit think Jinwoo can't make shadows out of them because the system just made them up. Like they're not legit, aka they're fake. Like for example, Baron himself. Since the original Baron was killed by Ashbourne, that's why he couldn't turn the demons like Metis or Vulcan into shadows. Wait a minute, does that mean our girl, Essel, was also dead? I mean, Chugong, why you gotta do us like that? Also, since Jinwoo's already at such a high level, he could technically speedrun all 100 floors. But getting more shadows would speed things up, and right now he has only about 5 or 6 shadows. So he can't really clear 100 floors right away. I mean, he could, but taking the time right now to build up his shadow squad might be the smarter move. That's why he'll hit up the Demon Castle for round 2. The next part will be the Kang dungeon. This time, Jinwoo will reunite with the other hunters from the double dungeon, including Jo-hee, Mr. Song, Mr. Kim, and this guy. The twist is, thanks to not entering the temple, Mr. Song still has his left arm. Jo-hee didn't go through any emotional damage, and the other two aren't wussies and broken. However, they'll still need to fight with the prisoners and Kang Tae-shik. But this time, since Jinwoo already has shadows, he can assign them to protect each hunter, especially the 4 closest to him. This move might just save Mr. Kim and this guy. Now, Jinwoo is set to face Kang in a one-on-one battle. He'll use the shadows, including the tanky Hwang Dong-suk, to guard the others, especially Jo-hee since she's the healer. Jinwoo will obviously overpower Kang, but the crazy thing is, he'll turn the assassin into a shadow. Damn, imagine a shadow that can go invisible. So after taking out the B-rank hunter assassin, Jinwoo will turn the goblins and hobgoblin boss into his shadows. Next, Jinwoo would increase his army by hitting dungeons with Jinho. Yeah, they're still teaming up again because Jinwoo needs some cash. So he'll agree to Jinho's offer to raid 19 dungeons. This means his shadow crew is gonna grow with some wild additions like goblins, snakes, scorpions, and even werewolves. Now this is where it gets interesting. The job change arc. Jinwoo doesn't really need a job change, but he's still on the lookout to beef up his army, especially with Igris. So when he steps into the dungeon, those knights, assassins, and mages, not a problem anymore. Jinwoo, with the current crew he's rounded up, can take them on easily. But the real challenge will be Igris. I mean, maybe. With Jinwoo already leveling up like crazy, Igris's power ain't gonna be nerfed this time. This means Jinwoo's gotta face off against Igris at his full power. Well, actually, Igris might be stronger, but he still won't be that much of a problem, because Jinwoo's at a higher level now, meaning he's like way stronger than Igris. Next, the Red Gate. The Ice Bears. And Ice Elves won't be a problem, and Jinwoo will still have tank after killing the Ice Bears. Another interesting thing that might happen is, wouldn't he save Kim Chul from dying? I think he would have the power to save Kim Chul if this mofo doesn't like act all big and cocky and doesn't split up the raid party in 2 teams, and also doesn't try to kill Jinwoo. Then he might still be alive. But if he's still an IS, like his normal personality, then Jinwoo will still kill him and turn him into one of our favorite characters, Iron. Plus this time he can turn Baruka into a shadow successfully. And since this is an S rank gate, Baruka as a shadow would be roughly a general grade, guys. However, there's one issue. If Jinwoo's level is too high, that means he can clear the red gate in no time. And since Hwang Dong-soo is waiting for him outside the gate, this time these two will definitely fight to death. Well, actually thinking about it, it won't be much of a problem because Jinwoo can easily kill Hwang Dong-soo. And of course turn him into a shadow and name him Greed. But you know what happens when Hwang Dong-soo dies? His death will reach Thomas Andre, and soon he'll be the one fighting against Jinwoo. So we all know whose ass is gonna get whooped in that one, right? Next up, the Demon Castle Part 2. Remember, Jinwoo's second visit in the original story, he only managed to get through 79 floors. But now with his strength and an army by his side, he can definitely clear all 100 floors in one go. Since he's got the power to clear the dungeon now, there's no need for a third visit, unlike the original storyline. Jinwoo will also speed run the bosses like Vulcan, Metis, and especially Baron. He'll get a new shadow, Kaizel, and snag overpowered items like the Orb of Avarice, Demon King's longsword and daggers, and most importantly, he'll whip up the Holy Water of Life, healing his mom way ahead of schedule. Okay, next, the exciting part. Jinwoo will finally check what his rank is at. And of course, he'll obviously be an S rank. While waiting for the result, he joins a mining team and later on will join as a porter for a group of B rank and A rank hunters. Obviously, while he's waiting for the result. Jinwoo will save their asses from a group of high orcs and instantly destroy them and turn them into shadows, including the dungeon boss, Kargalgan. Next up, Jeju Island. But before the actual raid, remember the part where the Korean and Japanese hunters beat each other up? Now imagine, Goto Ryoji trying to pick a fight with Jinwoo, who is probably beyond level 146 by now. Ryoji would probably pee his pants. Is that fair to say, guys? Anyway, if Jinwoo were to arrive on Jeju Island, he could easily wipe out the entire island now. I mean, in the original story, he took down Beru easily, so what would change if he were at an even higher level? Well, one major difference would be if Jinwoo had made an early appearance on Jeju Island. He might have been able to rescue the Japanese hunters and a few Korean hunters, like Min Byung. Now, if Jinwoo were to enter the scene a little bit later, the overall story wouldn't change much. Things would just wrap up 10 times quicker. Though I've been thinking of something very interesting. What if Jinwoo had turned the Japanese hunter that died into his shadows? Like having Goto Ryoji as a shadow? Like that's crazy, my guys. Though, you know, given Jinwoo's sometimes sentimental, Jinwoo might not have gone down that route since those hunters weren't that bad, you know, and they were human. That is unless he'd gotten wind of their scream to ditch the Korean hunters on Jeju Island. Then Jinwoo would turn those hunters into shadows because they had evil intentions, right? But Min Byung is a different case, because Jinwoo just needed him to save our waifu. I mean, Jinwoo's waifu. Next, when Jinwoo creates the Ajin Guild and agrees to help the Knights Guild clear a top tier A rank gate. The A rank gate is not actually a big problem because Beru managed to clear it all on his own. But at Jinwoo's sister school, another gate just randomly appeared. And this time since he's at a higher level, meaning the cooldown for some of his skills will be upgraded, especially the Shadow Exchange. And this time, Jinwoo won't be late. So after this, Jinwoo would return to the very beginning where it all started, the Cartenon Temple. But since in this timeline, the architect has already been killed, there'd be no need. So the next one is going to be in Japan, where Jinwoo easily kills all the giants. The same thing will happen here, but what's still unclear and very interesting is, why was Jinwoo not able to extract the biggest giant? I mean, that guy would be the perfect addition for the Shadow Army. But in the manhwa, and in the light novel, it was mentioned that Jinwoo can't extract this big boy as his shadow because there's no black smoke coming out of its body. What does that mean? What is this black smoke? Anyways, Since we don't have much clarity and evidence on that side, Jinwoo still will not be able to turn this guy into a shadow. Next, the Monarchs will finally arrive at Earth and start to kill every vessel of the rulers. And this time it's possible that Jinwoo manages to save President Gun-hee, because the only reason he didn't detect that barrier was probably due to his perception or sense not being high enough to detect the barrier created by the Frost Monarch. Even if the Frost Monarch causes any distractions, Jinwoo can still save President Gun-hee, since Jinwoo is much faster and stronger now. Whatever distraction the Frost Monarch creates, there's a chance that Mr. Frost won't be able to escape anymore. This time, Jinwoo will finally kill the Frost Monarch. But don't get me wrong, the Frost Monarch will fight back. Yet, even with all his might and the powers of Frost, Jinwoo will literally still just annihilate him. The Frost Monarch's death is a huge problem, because this will trigger the other monarchs, especially Antares, to finally invade Earth and take care of Ashbourne's betrayal. Now, the Earth still has a little bit more time, so the battle between Jinwoo versus Frost Monarch, Insect Queen, and King of the Beasts won't happen since the Frost Monarch is dead, meaning Jinwoo will be fighting 5 monarchs. Then the portal of Bellion and the rest of the OG Shadow Army will appear and fight alongside Jinwoo. Next, the portal summoned by the monarchs will appear, and probably in different locations, not only in Korea. In the original story, Antares spawns his gate in Canada, so obviously it'll be a good strategy for the monarchs to attack Earth in different countries, because that'll make it harder for Jinwoo to fight them all at once. National level hunters will fight these monarchs in different countries, and it's possible that Jinwoo will just assign a shadow to help each national level hunter, and he himself will fight Antares. Jinwoo wins against the Dragon King, since he is a lot stronger now. But that won't change the fact that many cities will be destroyed, civilians will die, and of course, hunters will perish. Yep, even S-rank hunters are national level hunters. I mean, Thomas and the hunter from Germany almost died fighting Racken, so I'm not sure which hunters will fight, but whatever the case is, some of them will still die, even Cha Hae-in. So even if Jinwoo quickly defeats Antares, deaths surely will happen. Now let's say Jinwoo and the others manage to win, but Jinwoo will still regardless be mourning the deaths of many people, especially his loved ones, though he will still have a second chance, and that will be the Cup of Reincarnation. This will allow him to save the countless lives that were lost as a second chance, and this time he won't lose against the Monarchs, these powerful gods.